It is the podcast.
It is.
I told you something wrong yesterday.
Okay.
The next holiday.
You said it was something in October.
I was wrong.
It is
September, Labor Day.
I was
the holiday of the working
I
person.
was planning to work right through it.
Right on through
Labor Day. Yeah, I'm sure.
The true way to celebrate labor is Labor Day.
I'm sure our cookie class kids is due the next day. I hope you're working on it. Well, welcome to the Baking It Down with Sugar Cookie Marketing Podcast. We're actually a group on Facebook. This is a spinoff of it, but we are able to see trends, things that are happening, what people are dealing with in their baking journey in the group, and then we can bring it to your ears on the podcast on Tuesdays.
Back to you, Heather.
I asked Heather what she wanted to be when she grew up. She literally said a weather gal.
Meteorologist.
Yeah. I never knew that.
Weather
You didn't even go to college with even the intent to becoming a
reality
meteorologist.
hit me hard, and I needed to make some money. What do you want to do?
You know, I tried to
I thought
think
you wanted to
about
be
it.
a bunny grower.
A bunny breeder. No, bunnies were my favorite. I was trying to think, what did I think I was going to be? I think I thought I was going to be a teacher. Yeah, I know.
Are you
I was
serious?
trying to remember, what did I think I was going to be? I have really
When
no
you were in college, what you major in? I thought it was business.
business. I had no
could've
idea.
been a
I think it was a bag in the wind.
Oh, you floated right down here to cookies. Aren't we all so thankful? Talking about today's podcast topic, I don't know, Corrie came out and she's like, what I really want to cover this week is cortisol levels.
Cortisol levels.
So I'm calling it Corrie-tisol. Because you have been known to be a stress bucket.
Listen, over the past few years, I have overcome my stress. If you didn't know, in a way, way long time ago podcast, I was diagnosed with chronic stress.
Yeah, and which led to kidney failure.
Yeah, which I hated that I was diagnosed with chronic stress. I wanted a pill.
Stressed me out.
I wanted a pill to say, take this, you'll be good. But chronic stress falls on you, the person, to fix.
It's so crazy because your body's like, but I like the stress. I'm holding on to it. And they're like, yeah, you need to tell yourself to let it go.
Yeah. I think we become so comfortable with our stress that it turns into this comfort that without it, we get anxious because there's no way life can be going swimmingly well.
Right. It's not like stress is comforting. It's the lack of stress is anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
So we think if we're preconditioned to be dialed into stress, if there is none, we think we've missed out. So we go search it out.
We go try to find stress. We make stressful situations over things that are not stressful.
Right. Yeah. So Corrie wanted to talk about 5 ways she has managed stress. But I want to come back to this. I had an ex-boyfriend who would always say, we're just a sack of chemicals.
We are.
And I can't. I hated the dude, but he had a point.
He did.
We are just a sack of chemicals, and stress is a release of a hormone, which sounds so physical, right? It's such a chemical a thing. When we kind of think of stress as this ambiguous cloud of bogged down
It's too
tasks.
too distant away that I cannot change it.
Stress seems like an idea when in reality it is a chemical exchange in the body, and that's what makes it so dangerous is it's actually physical, and we keep it around thinking it's just ideas.
Yeah. And
So-
honestly, you do get comfortable with it being in your system to the point so much that stress doesn't feel like stress because it's always there.
Stress feels like normality.
Yeah.
And the lack of stress feels
Yes.
uneasy. So when you are in a high stress situation, it's cortisol, which is the chemical hormone. It is great when you need it. It is wonderful. So when you're in a high stress, quick situation, you have a release of cortisol, fight or flight, and sometimes fawn response. That's the immediate, like, hey, if I do this quickly, I get out of the death zone.
Yeah. A bear coming at you in the woods, fight or flight.
And they're like, that was what it was designed for. Like, I'm hunting and gathering. There's a bear also hunting and gathering. I don't want him to gather me. I got to go.
The oven not coming to temperature, probably not the same thing that should be using in the bear in the woods.
But our bodies don't know the difference. So they're like, listen, we're going to just send out some cortisol, let the brain sort it out.
Yeah.
But our brains are like, oh my goodness. And then it becomes this chronic stress issue. And that's where all the long-term side effects of stress come in is chronic stress. The short-term stress, the fight or flight.
Yeah, that's
avoiding
normal.
a car accident, that's actually really great use of cortisol. So we're talking about chronic long-term stress.
So I want to tell you, you're going to listen to this podcast. It's going to be roughly 45 minutes. The journey to stress-free life is a longer journey than 45 minutes.
I want a quick pill, buddy.
You're going to implement these things.
Go to www.giveittomystress.com.
Slowly but surely, over time. I think it's taken me over a year to really get to a spot where stress doesn't run my life.
You got to relearn a bunch of bad habits.
And that is not a one and done day thing.
The unfortunate part Okay. The reason why we don't put our hand on the oven is because as soon as you do, immediate pain. It just trains itself right at you.
Yeah.
You get one shot, hand on oven, then you're cured. The problem with stress is sometimes it does help in a way. And that's why I think we let it set up camp and back and we say, just keep you around. Because sometimes in the event of a car accident and you stopped in the stress and cortisol and it saved you, awesome. Sometimes in business, overthinking feels like it is a solution when in reality, I think it creates this chronic stress, which actually dulls your decision-making process.
Yeah. Because if every situation you run to in your business is stress-inducing,
you're going to quit.
The burnout is going to be real for you because there's things that are stressful and then there's things that are not stressful that you're mistaking for stress.
Yeah.
And it's taking the right approach mentally to those situations, dividing them up.
You also got to practice. This is a training
It
wheels,
really is.
long term. I always kind of think of this way. If you we're 35, unfortunately. I said the guy at Safeway, for some reason, I got something like a medicine and had to type in my birthday and he couldn't see it on the new license. And I was like, oh, it's right here. And he was like, 1-1. And I said, yeah, 2-2. Yeah. He said 88. And I said, unfortunately. Then he said, Heather. Because he could see my name. You're young. That's what I press enter, buddy. There I go.
Coughing up along here.
If it took 35 years to build up a bad stress habit, it's going to take about 35 years to break it down.
No, it doesn't need 35 years.
You, me, and our walkers.
It does need a conscientious game plan to overcome it.
I agree. So this is Corrie's conscientious game plan to overcome it. 1, she went right for the gut here.
Yeah.
Managed caffeine intake. Caffeine causes cortisol spikes. Now, I'm a huge Diet Coke fan. But a lot of you guys are coffee drinkers.
Yeah.
And all of those have one thing in common, heavy caffeine intake.
Yeah. Caffeine is a known causer of causation of cortisol levels.
You're a causer.
That's like, granted, does caffeine kind of get you going during the day? A lot of people wake up and they're like, I have to have my cup of coffee, otherwise my day is ruined.
I'm going to use some words I'm going to probably slaughter, but I wanted to learn more about caffeine addiction. They said in your brain, your caffeine receptors, I think they're called adenosine receptors, the more caffeine you take, the more caffeine is readily available in your body, and your brain creates more of these receptors to handle it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why initially you feel this jolt of I'm awake because all these receptors are getting this caffeine.
Yeah.
But in time, your body's like, okay, well, we have too much caffeine. We're not accepting anymore. That's why you have to continue to take more and more caffeine. Okay, if you want to do a caffeine purge, those receptors have to start dying off.
Yeah.
But they're like, hey, give me some caffeine. I'm right here. I've been doing this.
Yeah.
That's what leads to those headaches and withdrawal. And then over time, you return back to the stasis of the healthy amount of these receptors, and then caffeine in your relationship returns back to normal. So you can always break up with caffeine.
Yeah.
But you will pay a price.
It's difficult. I will say me and Heather have been addicted to Diet Coke for a number of years. For the past couple months, I have been limiting myself to only 1 Diet Coke a day. And at this point, I'm down to only drinking half of one.
I call you out publicly?
Sure.
I do not do that at the restaurants.
Oh, no, I didn't do it at the restaurant.
You're on your
No. Hey, listen, we have to have balance.
Just to make sure you guys know this is an honest podcast.
But like at home, I used to buy sleeves of Diet Coke because they're delicious when they're in a can. And I would just be drinking them throughout the day. No water. Water did not exist.
Water? I haven't even met her.
So if you wanted an alternative, green tea
has caffeine in it,
but minutia of what is in it.
Yeah, so you still get your kick. Corey's thing said if you don't want to give it up cold turkey, which is tough, limit it till you're after your lunch.
Yes.
So, and then we're going to talk about sleep. So stop it before you go back. So caffeine is great until it's not. It is, as long as you acknowledge it lends to a higher cortisol level, if you're drinking it all day long, you're saying, hey, I'm okay with more stress. There's got to be a price to be paid somewhere. And you're saying you're accepting that, I'm going to pay that price.
Yeah, but could you imagine living a life with less stress? But folks that just consume coffee all day long and caffeine products, you're like, I'm just living a life of higher stress than people next to me.
When I was in one of the many colleges I went to, and I was working full time. So it was honestly, it was a lot of days. I think it turned out to be 10-hour days. I don't think I could do 60, right? Yeah. Either way. So I'd go into work, then I'd go to the college that was down the street, then I'd go back to work, then I'd go back to college, then I'd go back to work. It was a nightmare. I don't think I could do anything. But I was so tired that I started drinking these Monster Energies.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I've never gotten into that.
You try it, you won't.
Oh, it's
terrible.
gross.
Yeah, I don't know, but you do get this extremely high influx of caffeine and I'm sure a bunch of other chemicals. At one point, though, like I remember I had to take German class. Danke schon. I went to the cafe that they had at the, and I got this Monster Energy drink and, I pull out my card or whatever and my hands are shaking. And I said, I got to stop this.
Oh.
I've been awake since. But yeah, that is the side effects of things. And, those Monster Energy drinks have such high cortisol levels.
Yeah.
But there's these more natural versions. It would be a nice way to kind of step down. Ideally, drinking water. But
I will say, instead of thinking like, oh, I can never go cold turkey, so I'm never going to try, just take one cup
away.
Out.
Yeah. And see how you do it.
Yeah.
See how it feels.
Yeah. And that could be your goal for the next 6 months, just to eliminate 1 cup of a day, but still drink and then maybe the next 6 months, eliminate 2 cups.
I got targeted an ad. What's the Gen under us? Gen Z.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys are into, I'm into it too. Send me them. And it was like Gen Z doesn't like alcohol anymore. So they're getting into these fizzy, non-alcoholic.
Well, like kind of. You keep talking.
Beverages. Frank, where do you have to go, bud? You don't have a job.
Hot in here. You get out of here.
You don't even have a job. See, he just wants the option. He don't want to go. Frank said, no, wait, there you. So I got targeted in this ad, and it was like this fizzy drink with just vitamins in it.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good. It tastes kind of different because it's not like
poppy things.
No, those look horrendous.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think it was called Hilo. I don't know what it's called. But I bought it and I was like, oh, you know what? Really what I'm looking for is something in my hand, not necessarily caffeine.
True.
I find that if I have a can of something on my desk, that's all I
Could
really
you do caffeine-free Diet Coke? Could you try?
I'd rather do the Hilo things.
Okay. All right. Well, just a nice switch if you switch one out. Yeah.
Switch. Maybe one of your cups of coffee or one of your Diet Cokes is just having something in your hand.
It could be. And it's really thinking, are you addicted to coffee or are you addicted to
the habits?
Yeah. Going to Starbucks, that's fun. The smells are great. It's addicting to go. Are you addicted to Starbucks?
I would love to be addicted to Starbucks. It's the price per visit.
Oh, that will cure me.
Cures me. I can't even use fancy lotions for fear I'd like it too much and have to buy it again.
Me and Heather are really financially motivated to drink something and not have something tangible after I spent money.
To not have crap to put in our closets.
I would much rather buy a moisturizer and be able to use it on my face.
Moving on, stressful situations, being able to identify them and take a step back. Now, this is kind of where this all hinges.
This is the biggest one, I do believe.
I like how we made it number 2. First, eliminate one Diet Coke. Second, everything you need to know.
The thing is, we can have a situation happen to us and the whole thing feels stressful. At the end of the day, in a stressful situation, you need to take a step back from it, which is hard to do because you're stressed.
Yeah.
But taking a step back in that situation that's right in front of you, they've taken a step back from. There's a part that you can control. There's a part that you cannot control. If you think of a knife, that stressful situation, you cannot change the thing you cannot control. So why even give it any stress or attention? It cannot be fixed. What is done is done.
I found a quote. It said, a man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary.
Yeah.
Seneca. But that's the key. When I see people come to the group, and it's so funny, they'll say, look, the client's unhappy. And when I see the comments, and the comments are I think you read this differently. That doesn't seem like an unhappy person to me. It seems like a person who wants to buy more from you. And we're just preconditioned that, every email, and that's your body searching out stress because you've trained it.
Yeah. If you are addicted to stress, you will make stressful situations out of things that are not stressful situations.
Yeah. Hey, love Ruth Ann to death. She loves finding a stressful situation and making one out of nothing. She was saying the other day, well, what if somebody's offended at the 4th of July dinner that they didn't get to sit at the table? And I said, well, I'm sure they can move their chair.
Yeah.
But she was like, but. And I was like, hey, this is you're missile seeking this out.
Taking on a stress that was not your stress to take on.
And it feels great to find something because I think a calm brain feels like one that it's missing something.
Yeah. Especially if you're addicted to stress.
Yeah. I think you're got to be I got to find something else. There's nothing here. Nothing can be going right in my life. So that was like Corrie said, find the things within your power. Find the things outside of your power. So Corrie and I, when we do these cookie classes, I love while we're setting up, super sweaty.
Yeah.
I like to say, what would we do if? So Corey would be like, what would we do if the power went out? But the answer is always the same. refund everybody and thank them for coming.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, but at the end of the day, this situation is solved by giving everybody their money back.
Outside of my control, power.
Inside of my control, money. So that's why I always tell people, have this oopsie budget, because if you're like, but that's my money, that's stressful to me, to then have a budget line item where you don't touch it. It's not your money. It's money meant to solve your stress problem. Because I always think about it. I pay for that AG1 green drink. Yeah. It's $100 a month. That's a lot. Ridiculous. However, I haven't gotten a head cold in 2.5 years. 1.5 years? A long time.
Okay.
And I said to myself, like, you always want to quit that kind of stuff. Cancel that subscription. So I was like hovering over the cancel button. And I thought to myself, when I'm sick, if somebody said, would you pay $100 and you're not sick anymore? I'd have paid it immediately. Like when you're truly sick and you go to the C's and you're like, I'll buy one of everything on the counter.
$22 cough medicine. It is outrageously expensive.
The only time I buy cough medicine tea is when I'm sick. And I hate it all the time. So I always think about this, like if money solves problems, which I think that's a great use of money, instead of using money to buy things, use money to make problems go away. Yeah. That refund, really having it in your back pocket is something like, hey, listen, you seem just kind of unhappy. Here's your money back. You know? It just really solves a lot of that chronic stress, because I feel like stress presents itself very strongly in terms of the exchange of money.
It does. It changes the situation from happy jolly to like me against you.
Right.
Another way to control stress, a lot of bakers are yes men. They say yes to everything. The problem with that is you're taking on the stress of someone who didn't plan their party in time. Now that stress is your stress. So things to alleviate that is to have a form with a calendar that has dates that you can book off. That they're not clickable. There's no way someone can schedule on those dates. They are not clickable. The form cannot be submitted.
The other day, I said, Corrie, like, I think something's wrong with your form. Nothing's clickable. And she's like, no, that was by design. That was me.
Yeah, because to take on the stress of someone who didn't plan their party, now it's my stress. Well, the stress I did not have, now I have stress. And if you have the ability to take on the order stress-free, by all means, take it on stress-free.
I have to comment on this. The rush fee, or if you call it the fast track fee, the late fee, whatever you guys want to call it. And people are like, I either can or cannot. I will not take a bribe. Like that bribe is buying your stress. And that person who's willing to take the bribe is said, I'm willing to take on additional stress for the money.
Yeah.
And just because you may not be money motivated and somebody is, I hate that virtue signaling, I shall not take your money. I either can or I cannot. Like, yeah, you can. For $1 million, you could suddenly. Even if you could not, you suddenly can for $1 million. We all can be bought. So stressful situations, really taking a step back. And I think Corrie has this as like a later point. Noticing when there's a stressful situation. Identifying when that stress mechanism kicked in. You didn't turn it on. You have it naturally calibrated to just kick on. And say, oh, this is that old thinking. So I like The Therapist, right? A lot of those books and a lot of therapists, they're like, a lot of it's just acknowledging when you know you're about to do an old habit, deciding not to do the old habit and doing the new habit.
Yeah.
But she was like, the old habit never goes away.
Yeah.
You just become cognizant when it kicks on.
Yeah. And I think that's a healthy way to look at it. Versus, you're not going to cure yourself of stress. It is a hormone that is released regardless if you want it to or not.
You need it for the quick situations.
Another way is to, Heather loves to do this, is to set a Gmail away message, like where you don't get your emails in the middle of the night. What is that called?
You can set a vacation message. You can set an autoresponder. You can do a filter. There's a lot of ways to go about it.
Yeah. So a lot of times we'll get an email from someone at 8 o'clock at night, past business hours, and you feel the need. You feel the stress to respond to them right away. No one has died.
I know. Thank goodness we're not in brain surgery.
No one has died not getting a cookie request quote back.
The other day, someone had an issue with a client, and it did, the baker was really upset because they had kind of messed up the party a little bit. But I'm like, wow, if our worst case scenario is the party didn't have cookies, are we really in that big of a stressful? And granted, I love business and I love the reputation we can build. But in the worst case scenario, there's no wonderful cookies. That's pretty low stress.
If a customer emailed me and said the color of the cookie was too pink and there's no way she can serve it at the party, listen, here's your money. I am not taking on your weird stress of the color being a little off into my life. I'll just give you the refund.
But I know the baker who's listening to this said, but that's not fair. There's no way I can. It's not about being fair. And I think maybe that's where people have a little run-in with us in the refund is they're like, but you're training. We're not training them. We're getting rid of them. We're not going to work with them again. Yeah. That's for sure. We're getting rid of this, but we're not letting it take our piece along with it. And if I have to pay for my piece, what a great thing to buy.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, back in the day when I was dating, this was after my first husband, before the second one. There's about a year there.
So your single son's better be thankful.
If I went on a date with a guy and I did not like the way it was going, I would offer to pay for the date. And that was me saying, thank you for your time. We will not be continuing this relationship after.
And they say that signals that you are so into the date, it's worth the investment.
Well, me not responding to your text after should tell you. But that was like, okay, I'm going to pay. This is going to hurt right now for me.
To make it go away.
But we are not going to continue this at a later date.
But yeah, the big thing about this cortisol thing is identifying a situation where you're like, this is going to trigger my stress response so hard. And then ask yourself, here's what I feel like I should do here. Here's what I'm going to do because I don't want the stress.
Yes.
Like we have our patterns. And that's usually, like, okay, if a dog gets out of the house and feels like it's stressed, it's going to do the same thing every time. We got a higher brain function. So what we're going to say, that's what I want to do. I want to run into the road. That's how I feel it. I want to run into the road so bad. But I'm going to stop. I am going to breathe deep. I'm going to give myself 24 hours. I'm going to give myself 48 hours. And then I'm going to do something different than I've always done. And that is the key to really getting a handle on stress, chronic stress. Stress that's a little out of control where you kind of add fuel to its fire versus rein it back in.
Yeah. Another way that I have learned for a while, I've had a smartwatch for years upon years.
Yes.
For a few years, I did not wear it. And the reason being is because it gave people instant access to me. In that instant access and it was a problem with my ex-husband. We went through a little bit of a time. But him sending me a text message could ruin my day in 2 seconds.
I think we sat down once and went through it. Like, what's it triggering? What is what I call like the under. Like, here's the feeling, but what's the feeling under that feeling? What's creating this huge sense of anxiety or animosity? And where can we diagnose that? So I ended up coming up with you is like only messaging through email, and then any meetings, phone calls, just put them on a calendar. So we created really a protocol that limited the interaction and set a standard where I think there wasn't one before.
So the email that I allowed my ex-husband to have access to is one that I do not get notifications on my phone. So it's not on my watch. It's not on my phone. I have to physically, mentally prepare myself, and then I can log into that email, see if there's anything from him. But mentally, I can help myself prepare for it. Yeah. Versus someone just sending a text message that could ruin my day, and it's showing up on my watch. Like, oh my goodness, that was a day ruiner. Like, it could really set me off into the wrong direction for a full 24 hours. Yeah. A little tiny text message.
Yeah, it really does, because it's not connected. It's not a text message. It's something so much deeper to your system.
Yeah.
And you got to diagnose what that is, and then you got to put in these bumpers. Like, we went to bowling and they put those things on.
It is. And Heather really helped me create boundaries. Boundaries with people.
Boundary era.
Absolutely. So boundaries with clients that I have now, I'll say, you are not going to hear from me until a week out from your order. That's a boundary. We're not going to go back and forth.
But yeah.
Yeah, but it's setting the expectation and creating that boundary that we're not going to chit-chat about your order and like come up with where we're going to bond and become friends over your order.
It's not a bonding bag. That's for sure.
But it's setting an expectation, creating a boundary, and we're all in the know. So it's not like I created a boundary and you don't know. That's unfair. But creating a boundary that we both know, that we can both be like, okay, I'm comfortable with that boundary. We can both adhere to it. And I don't feel bad not chit-chatting about this order for the next 5 months.
I think it's a good way to see that there might be an issue with your actions is any behavior that seems compulsive, that seems like it's happening, you're doing it, but it wasn't even a choice. It's just something you're naturally. So like if you're like, they didn't email me back, refresh. That endless refreshing is very compulsive behavior. There, there's a little weak spot. I got to shore it up, and maybe something like Quiet for Gmail is an Android app that I use that only allows it to ping me at 11 a.m. and then again at 3 p.m.
That's so smart. So mentally, you can prepare for 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Versus being open all day to those stress triggers.
Refresh. Phone. Check.
Yeah.
And if we're honest, they said the Surgeon General wanted to issue a warning on social media and how chronic problematic it is.
Yeah.
But the way social media works and why it's so delicious for our system is it works off the same gambling receptor, like where you go to gamble, right? And it creates this compulsion of like, pull the lever, pull the lever, pull the lever, Kronk, pull the lever. And then you're like, maybe one time when I pull the lever, I'll get something.
Yeah.
And the same with social media, refresh. I got a notification.
Right.
Oh, it's even a great one.
LinkedIn, regardless if there's anything new happening, it will give you 6 new notifications.
It says, listen, buddy,
just logging
somebody you once knew 5 years ago got a new job.
Yeah.
You'd like to thank them for it.
But I think people have become so addicted to something's happening.
The potential of something happening. So they did this study on rats, and they put them into a cage that had an automatic feeder and a feeder that only fed them at a random interval. So one feeder, when they pressed the lever, Kronk, a pebble came out and they ate it.
Yeah.
And they were like, the rats only ate when they were hungry. They would just go put the lever when they're hungry, and then they weren't going to eat it. But then the lever that only randomly gave them food, they became so addicted to pressing the lever because it hits this part of your brain where like, if I press this next time, maybe I'll get something.
Yeah.
They said they even ate more than they should because it was not so much that they were hungry as much as this intermittent reward system gives us something in our brain that's so addictive.
Yeah. That is so true.
So that's what happens with social media. Another way you can do that is I use an ad blocker, which means even the notifications don't come through to me. There's no hit of any dopamine because I can't see it.
Yeah.
But still human. I really do like social media. So I let the ad blocker expire at 5:30 p.m.
Yeah, and that's safe. Heather also, and this isn't stress causing. This isn't necessarily stress inducing, but Heather knows she has an addictive behavior to TikTok, so she will uninstall it.
But track me here, guys. Here's what happens when I do download it on Friday night. It's stored up all the best of TikTok. My TikTok experience of Friday night is a blast.
Heather's up at 2 a.m. sending me stuff I already sent her.
This is hilarious. It's really identifying what these behaviors are, and obviously I've gone through and been like, I've even turned my phone to grayscale because it makes it so unfortunate.
But you've identified addictive behaviors that can either be stress causing or not stress causing.
I want to tell you guys on the other side of all these weird protocols I've added, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
It feels wonderful. So moving on to number 3, try these relaxation techniques. So, if we did a lot of these, like a lot of what you see there is buying back time. Mm-hmm. Now we have a lot of free time. That leaves a lot of time for stress. Let's overthink things. So you want to replace this free time that you've freed up by blocking email, by blocking social media to implement something else. And Corrie starts with breathing exercises. I'm really an Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
I know. He was dating 7 girls on the side. If you can look past that, he had this breathing technique, and I want you to show you. He says, when you feel that your cortisol is really high, breathe in deep, and at the deepest point of your breath, breathe in again. Stop, and then more. He said that second little, he said that's really, he said your physical response to it is a lower cortisol level.
Yeah, so I will say.
Extra sniff has to happen.
With cortisol, it creates the hormone that gives you very shallow and fast breaths.
Don't think fight or flight. There's a bear. You don't want to have a kumbaya session.
So if you know that during a stressful situation, it leads to short breaths, which can cause more cortisol in your body, Heather bought me this insanely expensive, not worth the money, breathy thing. What was it called?
It wasn't
Calm Me Go.
It was more than it should have been.
It's called the Calm Me Go.
Could have breathed into a fist and that would have been the same.
The thing about the Calm Me Go, though, is if I say, practice your breath when you're stressed, you're going to do 2 breaths and then you're like, I'm still stressed.
Calm Me Go says sit your bed down.
Calm Me Go
makes you do it.
Yeah, I do like it. Calm Me Go makes you breathe in for 2 straight minutes. And
that's a long
It's a long time. It's got a little peppermint smelly thing because peppermint is known to lower your stress levels. But when you breathe in, or when you breathe in, when you breathe out, it times you. So there's a little shake 1, shake 2, shake 3 means you did a full breath.
All this thing is a glorified timer.
It is.
Because most of us don't keep ourselves too honest. Breathe in deep. Okay, I'm going to go. But this thing is like, this is true breath work that will lower your cortisol level. But you're doing really deep breaths for 2 whole minutes. You have to sit down because it causes lightheadedness.
It does cause lightheadedness. I will say it was $200, which is absurd.
$200.
You did. I was very stressed at the time. I was
Corey
worth
was
every
so
cent.
stressed. I was like, throw anything at the ball.
It's small enough that you can fit in your pocket, so it's on the go.
Call me go.
Call me go, and you can buy little new strips, like if your peppermint's running out. But it had citrus and lavender. I just like the peppermint. But it was something tangible that I can be like, this will make 2 minutes. So if I was in the car and I was heading to a stressful situation, like meeting my ex-husband to do the little weird child drop-off
Did you
thing.
know Call Me Go in Pennsylvania?
Oh, I did. But it really instills in you what breathing in, breathing out to a full breath and to actually give it time to work.
A period of time.
A period
That's
of
the big
time.
key. I mean, we can all do that. Deep in again.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
We're not doing it for this length of time.
To allow your body to actually release the cortisol. So I will say the Call Me Go, while insanely expensive.
Really? I can't believe I spent
I think it was $150 to $200, I have to
If it
say.
was a twin gift, then I would have spent that
I
much.
think it was a twin gift.
Corey and I give each other gifts.
We give each other a birthday and Christmas gift.
Yeah.
What
Okay,
was
let me
it?
see. I'm clicking shop now.
Oh, it says calm in 3 minutes is what it says. Taking back control of your life.
The fact that the
Zero
price
risk.
is so at the bottom of it.
Oh, yeah, it's really setting you up for
Yeah, I mean, it's got
success there.
testimonial. Where is this thing? Shop now.
Oh,
Choose your Call Me Go. Payment plans. It
a payment plan.
I'm so nice.
That's insane.
But this is a sales pitch, right? They say, how much is your mental health worth? The average person spends $1,751 a year on mental health. Would you like $200? Wow, smart.
Wow, yeah.
That was ridiculous. But if it helps, to me, this is what I said. I said, let's say you find a random billionaire, and they're like, hey, billionaire.
Yeah.
Congrats, but tomorrow you die.
Uh-huh.
Or you can press this button. Let's say that they're very sick too, and it's a miserable. It's not like a just cease to exist. It's this miserable death.
Okay.
Or you click this button, and you're a blue collar worker. You're in perfect health, but you work 50 hours a week. Would they press it?
They would.
Everyone would, because your health. You can be the most wealthy person in the world, but the only thing you want is to feel good.
Yeah. When my kidneys were shutting down, I was like...
That was ridiculous.
I was laying on the floor of the hospital waiting room.
You must be truly desperate to sit there.
Oh, yeah.
People have thrown up.
Puking in a bag. But I said, you know what? If someone walked in and was sitting for $1,000, we'll give you a little spot in the the back. I said, I think I'd give it.
When you do not feel good, their price is no object.
No, it really wasn't.
So that's why I think... That's why I agreed with Corey that this is actually a business topic, because it will cost you so much. You'll actually quit your business if you let stress reign
Absolutely.
supreme. Our dad has always been addicted to stress. Even he admits, he's like, yeah, he said, I just feel like I'll drop dead one day. I'm so dialed in. But now we're in that, I was wondering how he was ever going to retire when you make your whole life, your whole identity work.
Yeah.
But he's really found some hobbies, and we're going to talk about that in a second.
Okay.
Low impact exercise routines. Now, this is a Huberman one that I took as well. The thought of going to the gym is hard.
It is.
It is one, you're with people, you have to scan in. Somebody has to say, I haven't been here for a while.
It's such a production.
It's such a production.
Yeah.
So I had this little agreement with myself. If I spend 5 minutes in the gym, I'm allowed to leave.
Just getting around.
And I did everything. all I owe is just 5 minutes. However, if I don't have to do the gym, if I do just 15 minutes outside and a walk.
Yeah.
I can do a 15-minute walk all day long.
I want to tell you, a walk outside compared to a walk inside a gym, I feel like 20 minutes and I'm done at the gym with a walk. Mm-hmm. But walking outside, I'm like, oh, let's go for another loop.
Yeah.
Let's go look in front of our neighbors' houses, see what they're doing, how they're decorating.
A little dog in the window over there. So I'd make this thing. If you just said 10-minute walk.
That's it.
3 times a week?
Yeah.
3 times a week, 10 minutes. That's 30 minutes total. If you just did that, the effects I think it would have on you, I think you'd be like, well, I think we're just going to add a couple of minutes. I can go see another dog in a window. Half of my walks are because I end up at this cat's house.
You do.
And he's under the car and I like to pet him.
His primordial pouch.
His primordial pooches are waddling. But yeah, really getting outside. So they say sunlight if you're into the Andrew Huberman's podcast. He said sunlight, being outside, fresh air, you know.
What exercise does is it uses up the excess cortisol in your body. So it doesn't just sit in there.
Exercise gets a bad rap. Just say walking.
I want to say just a walk. I don't like to go to the gym anymore. I used to live at the gym. I hate going now. Just the thought of thinking that I'm going to have to talk to somebody is too much.
You guys, the rule at the gym is no eye contact.
The problem is the more often you go and it's the same people, they're like, it's you again. Oh my God.
This new cat, Frank, has a secret to the gym. He looks past people I don't know what he's looking at.
He does.
It's very disconcerting.
We think ghosts.
Ghosts. So I look past people at the gym. So you never
Can you turn that on my body? I'm dying of heat stroke in here.
I can have it swivel.
Okay, that's fine. But it's not even touching me. I know, but I'm sweltering. Oh my God. Is that what you were experiencing this whole time?
Every 2 seconds we're going to turn the It's a fan we're talking about. Yeah, I'd say low impact. And I want to use the word exercise, a low impact walk. Just get out there 10 minutes, get out there 15 minutes. If you want to push it, 30 minutes. I think you'll love it.
I will say on my watch face is what they call it, the watch face for my Apple Watch. I did buy an app. It's $1.99 a month, but it's a dog.
Recurring app charge?
It's a dog. You can choose a dog or a cat and any type of dog. Some people are hound dogs or huskies. I'm a bulldog because I have a bulldog. And it tracks my steps per day. And when I get to the end, my dog falls asleep.
If he's had enough steps per day? Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't?
If he doesn't, he'll just be depressed. It's almost like a Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
Like you have to just do it. But you set your step goal. So I have between 8,000 and 10,000. Just that would be a good goal per day if I can get it in. Do I rarely make the 10,000? Absolutely not. Each month, if I do reach part of my step goal, I get a new water bowl. For my dog. I can pet him throughout the day. He'll give me a little bark.
The gamification of exercise right here. But I do like that. If it helps you go and do it, then go and do it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Good sleep hygiene. Now, in the Cookie College, we're having a sleep challenge. Dry July, the J months, they're pretty slow for everybody. A lot of us are out of town. A lot of our clients are out of town. So it's a good time to relearn sleep hygiene because come December, you're doing these all-nighters and we don't want all-nighters. Yeah. All-nighters are burnout 101.
You've turned into a yes man. You have no boundaries.
Either you're rolling in fees, rush fees, or you're miserable, right? So we're practicing good sleep hygiene. And every day you check in to say how much you slept, trying to beat the record from the night before. And then we're having topics on like, what are things that you buy? Are you taking sleep medications or not? If you want to answer, you can. But the big thing is go to sleep the same time every day. Yeah. So consistency, sleep long enough. I know a lot of people think that they're okay with 4 hours. They said, and I've quoted this before, that sleep will be the cigarettes of our age. Yeah. And that people not getting enough sleep will pay a huge price in the next generation.
When we were growing up, there was no social media and phones were still like not smart. No. So when you went to bed, you went to bed. There was nothing to distract you. So the problem with now, social media is so prevalent. There's always something vying for our attention. And we usually give our sleep to that.
Yeah. It feels great. Yeah. It feels great at the time.
It feels great at the time, but not in the morning.
No, absolutely. Ask me about TikTok. Sleeping long enough, phones out of the room. So I think our sister Ashley did this. She had put her charger in the bathroom, which meant after she was done with her nightly routine, brushing her teeth, the phone had to stay in the bathroom. That's where it was charging. Yeah. And then I had an alarm set in the morning, so she had to get up and get it. And that was how she took phones out of the room. It's really hard to not pick up your phone when it's right next to your headset.
Oh, yeah.
And another one is the cool, dark room. So air conditioning unit, if you have to. I think you got these things that push the air out further into the room.
Yeah, like where my vents are in the bedroom is the farthest point from the AC unit in the basement. So to get the air to push, the house is made in the 80s. So to redo the ductwork, that's just not going to happen. So these vents pull the air.
They have little fans in them.
Yeah, they have little fans, and they pull the cool air into the room.
And people, so Corrie posted about it in her community group, and people are like, this has changed my life. Yes. But cool, dark rooms, blackout curtains, consistent sleeping,
electronics that have little LED lights. That can kill you.
At this ripe old age of 35, I only buy, I bought an air purifier, but I had to read, does it allow me to turn off the lights?
Yeah, because those little lights can
take away from how your melatonin runs.
Absolutely.
So that's a big thing about Huberman and a sleep hygiene routine is as soon as you wake up in the morning, don't look directly in the sun, but get sunlight close to your eyeballs because it starts that melatonin build, start in here, and then it builds up by the time you fall asleep.
In the college, we were talking about what are the things that you've done to aid your sleep? Blackout curtains. That really darkens a room. I love a blackout curtain.
Big thing I've done in my room is no TV. I do have an iPad, but there's no TV.
That is something I do suffer from.
We all have our biases. But there's, things to kind of control. But a big thing, and Huberman is actually a scientist about eyes. Yeah. So his thing is about how lights affect the way our hormones work. saying that the light of artificial TVs or, phones, that's affecting how the melatonin production builds up in your brain.
I could agree. So those little vent fans, people were talking about their pillows.
People have the eye masks.
Oh, those were mine. Yeah. I tried to give you one at the beach when I take it. So
Corrie, this is Corrie. She brings out 2 eye masks. And I'm like, oh, she's giving me one. That's so nice. And then she's like, these are my favorite thing. In fact, I can't find them anywhere else on planet Earth. Once I get rid of the last one, I'll be so upset. And I'm like, well,
and I said,
clearly,
here's one.
No, you never said, here's one. You just
said
that.
Here, you can have it. And then the next day it was not used, so I took it back. You did not
say you could have it. You just said, these are the best. And you conked out. And I was left to...
It's got this little lavender built into it.
At Target?
It was at Target, but you can get the non-lavender ones online in a bigger pack and they're cheaper. But I have a lavender pillow spray. It's supposed to aid you into falling asleep faster and more soundly.
Okay, I like a spray.
Yeah, I like those little eye patches. Those eye patches actually have little, like those hand warmers you do in the winter. It's got those in it.
Somebody commented on Sugar Cookie Marketing Instagram. It's Stress Girl Cookies. Podcast is for you.
That's hilarious. So there's ways that you can aid into your sleep and you can create sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
It's not just throwing yourself in bed at 3 a.m. and then waking up at 6.
I'm particular, a crisply made, cool bed that's been recently washed. Nice. All right. I'm getting out of the shower, tucking into them clean sheets.
Yeah. I always shower before bed.
Me too.
And shower in the morning. You don't do
that.
I'm a 2-shower kind of lady.
The world can deal with that. Find a hobby outside of baking. So I've always heard never move to your favorite vacation spot.
Yeah.
Because it's no longer a vacation when you have to mow the lawn.
The thing is, we started off baking as our hobby. That was our hobby. It was so much fun. We loved it. We loved creating something cool. Now we're a business. Baking is no longer your hobby. I'm
going to go as far as to say this. You guys get on Instagram. A little scrolly scroll, a little treatle scroll. But you're seeing a lot of techniques and you're seeing a lot of strategy and you're like, oh, I need to think about this. And there we go. We go back into the stress. I don't know this. People are making more money. I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So baking is no longer your hobby. You're going to have to find a new one. You're like, but why? I don't like to leave the house. Listen, neither do I.
I don't leave the house. She says she's into lettering and calligraphy.
Calligraphy, those bubble letters.
Or I'll take them to my mom's house, pour 1,000 pens on the table, and just check out.
Start bubble lettering. White people are talking. It's the best thing ever.
My little sister is hyper addicted to Animal Crossing. It is a pretty leisurely.
Tell them what Animal Crossing is.
Animal Crossing is for Nintendo. And we've actually had it since we were little kids. Yeah. They keep coming out with versions of it. But all you do is live a little life that's cuter than your reality. But you can go collect flowers and plant things and talk to villagers who are all made of animals. Mm-hmm. Pretty relaxing. She zones out. So Corey's calligraphing. Summer is playing Animal Crossing. Ashley's into fidget things. I bring
You're
her
into fidget things as well.
But she'll just fidget while she talks. And it's all these kind of decompressing hobbies.
Yes.
They don't have to produce money. Hobbies almost feel like they shouldn't.
If once you're making money off a hobby, it's no longer a hobby.
It's a job.
You're in a business.
It's a jobby. He went from a hobby to a jobby. Sewing, Corrie put there. Crocheting. Yeah. I've seen people really into crocheting woobles.
Yes.
Corrie wasn't a woobler.
I could not figure it out.
But people really like those woobles, those little round crochets.
What is that?
Adult coloring books and paint gem books. I see the paint
Diamond
gems.
art is what it's called.
Yeah, it is on TikTok.
Yeah, it looks so satisfying. It's
paint by number, but it's by gem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little sticky. I could watch it endlessly.
My grandmother's 85. She doesn't like coloring as much. But my cousin, for her birthday, got her a sticker paint by number book.
Yeah.
So you can just put the stickers over the numbers.
Grandma is really into puzzles.
And I hate to admit, sometimes she'll ask me to come and help her, which I know is just a gimmick, so I can sit there. It is, if you get a solid puzzle, dial right in. Yeah. They're kind of fun. I know some people are into Legos.
Right? Putting those little Legos together. That's the thing is, you can't look at I'm wasting this time. It's not wasted time.
It's investment in your peace.
Yes. So when you can find something that's steps away from the stresses of the world, which is jobs, home, and do something for you, whether it be 10 minutes in the evening, you write one little letter.
Protect it.
Yeah. That is something that can lower your cortisol levels. But you have got to remember that baking, if you're selling, is no longer a hobby.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, you're listening to a business podcast, you're not a hobby baker no more. Even if you're like, well, I haven't charged anybody. You're listening to it, you're not a hobby baker anymore. Mm-hmm. You are. Find that thing. If somebody judges, it's so weird that you do that. Who cares? Tell them it's either that or a 200 call me.
Me dumping out 200 pens on the table every Saturday. That's weird. That is bizarre. But yeah, My mom loves to do carding. She will not sell them because she does not want it to turn into a business. It will be her hobby.
And she made this cute one for ours.
She did. So that's a great hobby.
Yeah, paper art. That's pretty fun.
Quilling, where you
Jenny
wrap
got
this
quilling, we got out of it, but she tried. But there's all these fun little things. Yeah, their money sucks, their time sucks, but really, in reality, they're investment back in your own piece. They're your little thing. Nobody needs to get it. It's just your stuff.
Yeah. So that is a great one to do to get your mind off the work.
Mm-hmm. Gardening.
I would think that's a good one.
Yeah, I think that's out. One, you get outside.
You do.
Two, you get to create.
And I see gardeners when I walk by their houses on my little walks. They're so proud of it.
They're so proud of it.
I'm like, oh my God, your lawn looks great. They're like, oh my God.
Have you ever said, let me fix a flower bed? Do you know how much it costs?
I'm sure it cost
I was like to Ruth Ann, I was reading a podcast or listening to a podcast and it was like, go garden. That's great for your stress. I was like, I'm going to do that. And they were like, that'll be $300, man, for this dirt and the weed killer.
You did buy a hummingbird feeder so you could watch hummingbirds as a hobby. I think you got one.
I got one yesterday. He didn't even stop. Yeah. He hovered and left. He didn't even drink.
I bought a bird feeder. My birds and now the squirrels are loving it.
The squirrels here are relentless. There's all those little things. Frank, I really like taking care of that
one of the points that I found was to get a pet.
Because it's the thankless job.
But they're cute, and their cuteness is a thank you.
Yeah, and I've spent so much money on them. But it's like my hobby to see, like, I'm going to figure out your little belly problems, buddy.
Yeah.
You're going to live the life here. His automatic toilet comes in tomorrow.
I can't wait.
What if he doesn't use it? What if he's horrified? What if it starts spinning on him? Now this is the final one. Eat a nutritious diet. I am a sugar fiend. I actually eat so much sugar that I started a book on sugar and the problems with it because, man, does it have me in a headlock. It is delicious when you're having a bad day. A carb treatle, a little sweet treat. That's what they're called.
Yes.
A little sweet treat is delectable. However, it leads to higher stress.
It does.
You don't feel as good. I hate going to the gym, but I know I feel better if I go. I hate drinking water, but I know I feel better if I do. And I absolutely love sugar, but I know I feel better if I don't.
Yes.
So we know these things, little steps, like instead of just jumping in and being like, I signed up.
I'm quitting sugar cold turkey. That's impossible.
I'm going to the Olympics as a deadlifter. You could just start with a high protein shake in the morning.
Yeah.
Very simple thing.
Very simple.
Not even working out. And then a high fiber. So I'm cheap. But I think fiber's great. So I use, Metamucil is like the name brand one.
Yeah.
Equate, Walmart's brand, has the exact same thing. I can't get Equate to buy it. It's the exact same psyllium husk.
Listen, I buy the Metamucil.
Anyway, you save half of the price of Equate. And then just take that twice a day. One, don't love the taste or anything. It tastes like Tang, if you remember Tang.
Like gritty Tang.
Gritty Tang. That was from when we were like in high school. But it keeps you satiated longer. So a lot about carbs is that you feel hungry, you want a snacky, but to limit that feeling of hunger is high protein shakes. What are those delicious ones that are Fairlife? I think Fairlife has really delicious protein shakes. It takes the lactose out of it.
I just order them on Amazon to make it even easier. Like there's no excuse. It's just coming to my door.
And so it's pre-made. You don't have to shake it yourself. And then high fiber. Yeah. Just start with that. If that's all you take from this podcast, I think you're going to say, well, that's going to eliminate that feeling of hunger, which eliminates that. Let me seek out some sweet treat.
Yeah.
Which I love. Cutting out sugar, cutting out sodas. And I'm guilty with the soda one. At least I do diet. I guess that's what I tell myself. I almost wish it wasn't diet soda so then I'd actually feel guilty. This feels like a free space. Drinking more water and just not water. Electrolytes have gotten into those salt drinks from Element.
I don't like the taste of water. So what I've been doing is buying
the taste of life.
The Crystal Light little packs you pour into a little water thing. To make it easier to drink more water.
Right. Gateway. Because once Heather Campbell Brookshire was like, if a fish can't swim in it, it's not water. And I think about that all the time.
They can swim in that Crystal Light.
I'm like, they can swim in the salt water, so I think this will count. Don't skip meals. That's, I know everyone typically talks about nutritious diet, and we're like, cut out sugar. Just limit what you're eating. I think the other side is don't forget to eat. High stress people, if I get stressed at all, I stop eating.
Yeah.
That's not healthy either. It may feel like, well, I'm saving weight.
The problem is you get busy during the day, you skip lunch, then you go to town on dinner, and then it sits in your belly all night long, and then you're hungry the next day because you only had one meal, and it's this
cycle.
It is.
And then at the end, you're like, why don't I feel very good?
Yeah.
So, and then when you don't feel good, high stress. And it all comes back in. And I know that you can't say stress is a single pill solution. It's a cohesive lifestyle shift. But on the other side of it, if I could tell you one thing, and I've been focusing on it a lot for the last couple of years. Oh my goodness. Best I've ever felt.
Yeah.
Constantly reading lists like this and being like, oh, I got to get rid of that again.
Yeah. I want to say the side effects that I had from a high stress diet, hair loss. Hair was falling out of my head.
Every meal Corrie would eat. And it's wild that you weren't listening to your body. Let me just stress that.
Yeah.
But Corrie would be like, ooh, this makes my lower back hurt so badly. I'm going to lie down on the floor.
Every time I ate, I had to take a sit down.
And that was your kidneys shouting from your lower back, please help us.
But I think I was so addicted to the stress. I'm like, well, this is my new stressful point. I just have to sit down after I eat.
At one point, Corrie's kid came into her when you started like your anti-stress initiative and said like, wow, it seems like you're almost a different person.
Yeah. Wow. You couldn't have told me that because I was so addicted to the stress. But to be a 30-year-old, 32-year-old at the time and do a colonoscopy with 60-year-old men next to me, that was an eye-opener. A little bit of an eye-opener and a butt-opener.
You found funny. But that's a huge, speaking of butts, that's a huge but is to say like, hey, a lot of us, I think, are around the same age as listening to this podcast. You're middle aged. You can make a difference now. If you're 20 years old, wow, you're just leaps and bounds above the rest of us.
Yeah.
If you're a teenager, what are you doing listening to this?
I'm proud of you, kid.
TikTok immediately. But yeah, you can make these changes at any point in your life and be like, hey, stress, you've been piloting the ship for far too long. I'm going to put you in the back and I'm going to take over and slow way down.
I see a lot of times, and if you're listening to this podcast, I am talking to you. People will leave the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group because they've quit their business by burnout. Then they'll come back in and we're like, I'm sorry, I thought I was going to quit, but I'm back.
In that break, did you come up with new habits? Otherwise, this is going to happen again.
You're going to keep doing it again. I've seen people come and go from the group so many times that their name is now etched into my brain.
Right, and you're allowed to do that. But just ask yourself, what changes are you not making that you keep getting this burnout? Because the habits, you just keep watering the bad habits, and then it's producing the bad plants that you hate to get.
And it's this vicious cycle. Oh, I'm burnt out. I'm going to quit. Okay, I miss it. I'm back. Oh, I'm burnt out again. I'm going to quit.
Yeah. It's not going to solve itself. Stress is like the thing that you have to solve. You have to take, but it feels like such a figment. It's like,
it does. A stressful day. It feels so ambiguous.
Yeah. It feels like, just like everyone has stressful days, you know?
Yeah. It's become so common that you're like, there's no way I can fix it. Everyone's living their life like me. They're not. They are not.
I know if you think everyone's living like you, then you feel like you don't have to change. But in reality, like find you a non-stressed person and just look at them and be jealous.
Yeah. But you will listen to this podcast and you'll say, that's too much. Listen, implement one or two things. Conquer those things.
Which would be? Two would you pick? I know what I'd pick.
Walking.
I was going to pick that.
Walking and the limiting of the social media on the phone.
Yeah, that's probably going to have huge impacts.
Those two things is what I would start with that I've seen the best benefit from. Walking, even if it's 10 minutes, leads to better sleep. So that's a byproduct.
It does.
Yeah, so that's a twofer.
And then lack of social media buys you free time. What are you going to do with that free time? You could implement a calligraphy. A hop.
Yeah. So I will say it's such a distant thing for a lot of us to grasp. And it was a thing that I felt like I could not overcome. But when you have 5 doctors telling you, it's...
Corey's like, no,
it's you.
I think it's not.
Yeah, I was like, no, I don't really like what you had to say.
You guys are wrong.
Then it's something that you have got to conquer. We are getting ready to go into the busy season of cookies.
That's what I said to Corey. We're in the second half of the calendar.
We are. And this is not the time to be like, well, I'm addicted to stress. I'm not going to fix it now.
These slow months give you the space and the bandwidth to implement these changes because you're not going to have a lot of bandwidth to make better decisions come those busy months.
The more tired you are, the more your brain is tired. You make worse decisions.
Oh, yeah. The less higher function, you go back to lizard brain. You're like, this is what worked before. We're just going to keep doing it.
Yeah, you're just making bad decisions, which can lead to even more stress. So right now, in this month of July that we are in, and Heather loves to call it dry July, don't make it dry. Make it the time that you set.
Make it wet.
Make it a wet July. A little rain in your garden.
But yeah, it's a great point. And if you could, honestly, this is probably a more value. I know that everyone likes some more technical stuff and like do this, schedule that, post this, but this will make the difference.
This will make it so
the best marketing strategy in the world falls apart if you're too angsty.
Yeah. Yes. All right. That's all I had.
Okay. Let's move on to the Blendy. I know some of you are saying, where's the link, girly? You said you're going to post it. We actually had such a huge response. Now slow down a bit.
Slow down?
Yeah, just to slow down signups a bit because there's a point at which there's too many vendors.
True. And some people said there were so many vendors last year, they would like a limited more amount this year.
And I'm not seeing a slowdown, which awesome. I love the vendors and everyone's responding with such generous offers. So I'm just not putting the link just yet. I'm letting the last year vendors figure it out.
Love it.
So let's go through the vendors. I'm going to read from the list from newest to firstest.
Do it.
Mix it up a bit. Scribes by Shirls will be running 30% off. The Dessert Depot, 25% off. The Cookiery, 25% off. Sam and June's Bake Shop, 25% off. Mad Batter Cookie Co., 30% off. My Dope, 30% off. Sugarloaf Mountain Designs, new this year, 30% off. JoJo's Specialty Shop, 25%. Sweet Pink Olive returning this year at 30%. Chua Cookies returning this year at 25%. Busy Bakers back again. All these are back again because they're the only people who got the link. Busy Bakers at 25%. Whipsy, you guys loved her last year. It's the first year I found her. Mm-hmm. That was found by another Sugar Cookie marketing member who did all the footwork for that. Nice. So you guys can make a huge difference. 25% off. Dare to Bake, 25% off. Cookie or Prince, 25% off. Brighton Cutters back again for the third year, 30% off. Minted Prince back again for the third year, 25% off. Is this their third year?
Minted Prince? Yeah, Prince? I think so.
Wally B's Custom Cutters, 30% off. Bougie Bakers, first time here, 25% off. Sweeties, Tasty Treats and Scribes, 30% off. Sunshine Davis, first year here, 25% off. Miss Cookie Packaging, second year, 25% off. A-Core Backers, Loud and Proud, fourth year, 30% off. Mm-hmm. Sweet Bite App, second year back, 33%. Cookie Cutters by Nori, back again. Super happy to have that one. She has a cookie cutter named Heather. Feel free to grab that.
She has a better one named Corey. So.
Also 25% off. Mixer Skirt back again this year, 30% off. Cup of Cookies back again, 25%. Love and Flour Baking Supplies, 25%. One Smart Cookies and Crafts, that's Heather, 30% off. More Decor, third year, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe even fourth. Maybe. Don't quote me on that. 25% off. The Domestic Cookies, second year, 25% off. Bobby's Cutters, 25% off. Is this our third year?
I want to say she's been since...
not the first year.
Okay, then it's definitely the third year.
Blue Honey Cutter Co. second year, 30% off, and the Cookie College. We weren't even around the first year. So actually our third year, 30% off.
Slaggers.
So that Vendy Blendy, I send out in the Wednesday newsletter a countdown to the Vendy Blendy. Will be 19 weeks away.
Wow.
Feels forever.
If you want to, you can search the Vendy Blendy group on Facebook. You'll pend until the 12:01 on the day of the Vendy Blendy. We'll let everyone in at the same time. Pinned to the top of the group will be the discount codes and their links to get there.
That's all you got. You saved a bunch of money.
You did.
But why stop there when we can make it a whole vibe? So throughout that 24 hours the next day, there are door prizes from each of the vendors that want to participate, which is about 90% at this point. We have big door prizes, which will settle what those are going to be after I get all the vendors to sign up, because that's where their money goes, is to pay into the big door prizes. And it will just be a blast.
It's so much fun. It's now a thing. Before it wasn't as thingy. Now it's a super thing.
Now this is like everyone, hey, listen, kids, don't talk to me. Mommy's got to work on Friday.
Are you posting this podcast today?
Yeah.
If you are listening to this today, it is National Sugar Cookie Day. I've given a freebie photo in the main group, in the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group. I made a whole...
You pin it?
Cookie. I didn't pin it because I don't have the ability to pin.
Not pin.
So Heather's going to pin it. If you want to go, snag it. You do not have to tag me. Post it to your page. Wish everyone a National Sugar Cookie Day.
Is this our Independence Day? Is this our 4th of July?
I think it is. But what it does is bring a little bit more awareness to sugar cookies and sugar cookie bakers. And it's a freebie photo. I made it myself. So it's yours for the taking.
How fun of you. Happy National Sugar Cookie Day.
Same to you, friend. Same to you.
There's National Cookie Day. This is National Sugar Cookie Day.
Yes. Different.
Upcoming events. You know who's super nice? The lady teaching the cake pops.
Bonnie Bradley.
Yeah, she sent out an email. I'm on her email list. Yeah. And she let everyone, all of her audience know that she'll be teaching this Facebook Live. She actually has a membership. The event is July 19th. So that is in a week. On Friday. Add some pop to your party with Cake Pops with Bonnie Bradley. And she actually has a membership plan. I think it's actually exceptionally affordable, but it only opens twice a year. Yeah. She's opening it that day.
Yes.
So if you wanted to get in there, but if not, she's given us everything we need to know. I can already tell by how she emails that this is going to be dialed in.
I took her little course.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh, great.
It was little videos, and they were short enough that you could just dive in, and it was divided so you could go to the part that you needed.
Very nice. So when she goes live, the way the Facebook Lives work in the group is she'll go live in the Sugar Cookie Marketing group, not that event, but I'll pin it in the group and I'll pin it in that event. You can rewatch it later. So that event is Friday, July 19th. Then we have CookieCon 2024, the Kalahari Happy Hour, sponsored by Heather Campbell Brookshire, the girl with the fish quote. The fish swimming in water. Anyways, if you're interested in a Disney vacation, if you're interested in a Universal vacation.
If you want your Disney vacation to be less stressful,
how nice.
You need to hire Heather Campbell Brookshire. And I say hire very loosely because you do not pay her a cent.
I know. Disney has that a lot.
Disney pays her. She just makes your event stress-free.
We tried to do our own Disney trip planning. I want to say stressful.
Horrendous. Had no idea what half the words meant.
No. But if you want to let her take on that stress for you, you can find all her information in that event. So you go to the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group, click on the events tab, upcoming events. You're going to find that CookieCon 2024 Happy Hour. And that's September 17th, which when I first posted that felt long. It felt far away.
Yeah.
Now it is not. But there's a happy hour at CookieCon. Actually, Heather and Kim, who survived Hurricane Beryl.
Yeah.
They were without power for over a day.
Yeah.
Anyway, she posted a picture to her social media that she was decorating my flashlight. The orders must go out. Man, if I had some of that dedication, buddy. And she even turned it into the Cookie College Facebook Live yesterday. But you can show up to that happy hour. It costs you nothing. We're actually footing the tab for that, and you can meet some similar vibe people. Whether or not you are attending CookieCon, that happy hour is open to anybody.
Yeah, but it's a great way to make a little baking bestie and a little buddy that you can meet up with between your classes and your courses. What's fun about CookieCon is after all the classes are done, people meet up and go to dinner together.
I love going to restaurants.
Yeah, but you can tag on with a group, meet new people, and they can just...
CookieCon is what you make of it. Yeah. I don't think CookieCon owes you an experience. It owes you all the things it provides. What you make of it is how much you invest in truly putting yourself out there, which I know is one of the hardest things to do.
But that's why they came up with something called trades. It is a icebreaker. So at a trade, you do not have to bring it. Absolutely do not have to bring it. But if you brought like a little Snickers bar, people like to eat a little munchy.
Someone did mints. Loved it.
Yeah, loved it. Some people made cookies. People were giving scribes. But it's an icebreaker. So you can come up to someone and start a conversation. And it's not so awkward.
Does help. So imagine pairing a scribe with this happy hour where you just get to show up and meet people who have to follow the same group rules.
Yeah.
So you know they're not all customer about.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of venture into the rest of your week there.
So fun. So fun.
So fun. Moving on. So we did the Vendy Blending. Okay, the Cookie College. Corrie, Amy said, I had this great idea for a class. And yes, I did tell her it was a stupid idea. I didn't say it like that. I was like, this is a weird idea. And she was like, I just really think people would like doing cookie class about plants. Okay. I don't have a great thumb. In fact, I have a murderous plant thumb. Like what everything I touch croaks. But Corrie said, I actually think this is a good idea. And that class, which Amy had the idea of months and months ago, is finally dropped. And it's included in both the Cookie College membership and the Cookie Class Kits membership. The Cookie College not only gets all the classes this year, which is 8, it gets the 12 classes from last year. Now, if you say I want to save a couple bucks, I just want the classes from this year. The Cookie Class Kits now has a total of those 8 classes.
Yeah. So you get 8 classes for the price of 1. And I want to tell you, these classes, that's just a broad word. What it's divided into is you get content to promote your class. You get the class kit, so the photos, you get the PowerPoint, you get the piping practice sheet.
Let me read through. Sure. There's a lot that goes into these classes. I know some people are like, get these classes posted, you idiot. But there's just so much that goes into them. I'm going to read to you what each class includes. Let me just pull up my pinned post. Here you go. So this is our 21st class.
Wow.
For the class kits. You get the shop list, which is the cookie cutters that we work with Sweet Pink off. So you can order them from her, or you can sign up for subscription and get more of them for less.
Yeah.
The colors, and you always use Amerigels.
I do.
So you get the colors for this class. Again, we only ever use 4 colors per class and 6 cookies. These classes are all designed the same.
That is not as easy as that sounds.
No, Corrie does a great job. You get our supplies list. These are what we purchased to teach our classes. So if you're like, I don't even want to use my brain, I just want to
You keep
recreate.
talking. My little friend needs back in.
Oh, let that man in. Let Franklin in. He said ladies. Ladies. I feel like that was complaining.
I know, yeah. Okay, go on.
Okay, you're leaving the door open?
Yeah,
Frank,
I'm hot. Wait, keep going on with your list because it took me a lot to do
Okay,
that.
the class supplies, which is if you guys, I don't even want to use my brain here. I like what your guys look like. I want to create it myself. And we have a cheaper option and then the, of course, more expensive option we actually learn from. The class checklist, this is just a checklist so you don't forget the icing on the day of class like we did. You get decorating videos. So let's say you want to teach this class. Corrie teaches you how to teach it in these decorating videos. Like, here's the steps to decorate this cookie. A lot of people take those videos and turn them into marketing pieces.
Yeah, Reels and TikToks.
Completed promo photos. Now, this is the chunkiest part of this, the promo photos. Corrie gives you stage photos. She gives you flat lay white backdrop photos. She gives you the cookie and the cutter photos. She gives you the cutter promo photos, and then we go into the social media posts. Now, this is what I work on. I take Corrie's photos and I turn them to an event cover. I turn them into social feed posts, and I turn them into stories. So it's all pre-made for you.
Yeah.
All you have to do is add your own details, which you can easily do in Canva, and you can post those. You get enough to take you through about 2 cycles. Right?
Yeah.
Then we move on to the copy. This is all the copy you'd need to promote this event. It's highlighted in yellow where you can enter in your own details. What do you
better like puns. I'm just looking at the cat.
I look really heavy on puns this time.
Yeah. Oh, good. There was a lot of puns.
I did really good on them. Because it was plants. So it was kind of easier. It was hard to do Taylor Swift puns. I had to be like,
I know.
You bring out the lyric. And our lyrics are kind of advanced.
Yeah. You listen.
Franklin,
I'm watching the cat.
Her. Then we go to the social post, the emoji list. So you have the emojis that kind of match with the class. Email reminder drips is how we make sure that people show up on time and kind of say, hey, if you don't show up, you don't get anything.
So if you're like, I want to sign up for the Cookie Class kits, but I don't know how to market for a Cookie Class, the Cookie College is going to be the best bet for you because there's steps on how to run Facebook ads, how to write compelling copy.
Here's what I'm not sure people realize. The Cookie College gets the class kits, but it also gets DIY kit photos that match the class kits, and it gets the Cookie Class playlist that's set up by Sunshine Davis, who happens to be a Vendy.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit more in the college as well per each class.
I will say, I've been working, I don't know why I'm a month ahead of schedule, but I am. I've been working on the next class kits last night. The cat class is so stinking cute. I will say.
You said it was easy.
Plant class was a little bit more involved. This cat class is going to be an entry level class, but it is so stinking adorable. So cute.
I every second Tuesday in the Cookie College, I teach how to get to know your membership. But I was telling people, like, these classes, just sell them as DIY kits. Yeah. Get your money out of that. You don't even have to stand in front of people if you don't want to. But I can't wait to see what that one is.
That one is so cute. I sent you a little photo of it last night. Yeah, he was... It's not a cream point, but it's a white cat.
We didn't get you in there, but you kind of got you in there. So that will drop in the beginning, the first week of next month, which will bring the Cookie Class Kits membership to 9 total classes and the Cookie College to 20-something. So
21st. Yeah. Well, there's a little bit more, but 21st, good one.
Where's your actual one is. So that's the Cookie College. You can learn more about it at thecookiecollege.com. We have a blast over there. We're doing a sleep challenge, walking challenge next month. So there's a lot of components to the Cookie College, more than just the courses. In fact, it feels like people are like, forget the courses. I just want my readings, which I'm not mad about. So we did that. You want to do our spances?
Spances. Thank you, sponsors, for sponsoring this podcast. Without you, we'd be stressed without a podcast. Our first sponsor is Bakety Bake Royal Batch. So Bakety Bake is the company that makes the meringue powder called Royal Batch. Royal Batch is the meringue powder that I used. When she actually first approached us to be a sponsor of the podcast, I said, I don't sponsor anybody I don't believe in. So she sent me a pack. I've been addicted ever since. This meringue powder just whips up just like silk. Silky smooth. It's hard to explain. It almost feels like it doubles in size.
Does icing bleed cause you stress?
Does it? This is your answer. It's got 3 ingredients already in it, which is vanilla extract, so it tastes great just out of the bag. Don't eat it out of the bag. Whip it up first. It's got white food coloring, so you don't have to add any extra, and it's got corn syrup for a softer bite. Highly recommend. You can use code TWINS right now and save 10%. And I think she is back in stock right now.
Yes.
Tis the season. Tis the season.
Get her to be available.
Listen, if you want to be stressed, wait till you're running out to order a bag, or order some now if you know you're going to use it.
Next up, never least, Eddie, the edible food printer. If you're stressed about not getting Corpy orders, this is your man's. Somebody had asked in the main group, should I pay? They won like the best of. And they're like, should I pay the $500 for the magazine or put that towards an Eddie? The comments were overwhelming. So Eddie is a direct-to-food printer, means he prints like a printer with edible ink onto cookies. And more than just cookies, but this is a sugar cookie podcast. So
if you're thinking edible ink, think of airbrushing. The same stuff that makes up airbrushing in a printer cartridge.
Yeah, so you can print everything on printers, right? So you can just print patterns. This is that, but edible.
Yeah.
And Corey was using it to print credit cards last week. We've run them all up.
This week, what I used him for is I'm into my cookie cake era, but I wanted the center cookie to be something a little easier. I've done Eddie as the center cookie.
Yeah, it looked very
I thought it was cute.
So if you want to learn more about Eddie Printers users group on Facebook or their Instagram is a great way to see all that man is capable of.
Yeah, and if you're like, oh, but what about the hand piping? You can incorporate Eddie into your hand pipe.
I actually think it's best when you use a little bit of Edward, use a little bit of hand piping, and then you create this kind of elite set that's not capable without either, right?
Yeah.
But and then you have those corporate ones. He's just a man.
I know.
You just gotta let him.
He's a man with a plan.
If he starts meowing, they're gonna be startled. Okay. That man doesn't meow. He bites the air, I think.
Do you have a twinterest?
Do you have a twinterest?
Do you have a twinterest? I'm trying to think if I have one by saying it repeatedly. Do you have a twinterest?
The twinteresting.
Something interesting for twins.
My life hasn't been as interesting. It's not been twinteresting, that's for sure.
I did make Heather sourdough discard brownies.
They were delicious. Corey thought they tasted like sourdough, but I gotta say I don't taste it at all.
But I will say I don't like brownies in general. I know. Shoot me. It's so much chocolate. I like it.
Sacrilege.
I know. So I made them for Heather because she requested, and she's my number one fan.
I like me some sugar, guys. What can I say?
She is not trying to give up the sugar now.
I'm going to take away one cup.
So that was good. That was my twinterest. There you go.
My my test is how much can I optimize this cat right here?
Okay.
So what's that litter box you guys all have that's super expensive?
The litter robot.
The litter robot. Okay, people talk about it like it's changed their lives. But when you look at the price, it's $750.
I sold mine. For pennies on the dollar.
Except for $750, I needed to raise the cat.
I think your cat's a little too old for these robots that he's not going to like it.
I found a knockoff.
But it's still so involved.
But okay, here's the difference. I think, so my cousin has a litter robot and he asked us to watch his cat. So he brings this monstrosity.
It's like a giant egg.
I thought it is huge. To me, it is by definition ginormous. So this other one's supposed to be smaller. The component that turns can be completely separated from almost like a treadmill of sorts, and then you can just spray it outside and wash and clean it.
Nice.
Whether Frank takes to it or not, that's my twinterest. But it comes on Wednesday, tomorrow.
I'm the old-fashioned scooper. I'm the scooper. I'm the litter robot.
I don't mind a scoop, but Ruthan's like, I don't like the smell of things. And then so I buy all the stuff, and she's like, well, I didn't really think it smelled that bad. Listen, lady, you either smell it or you don't.
I'll be curious if Mr. Opinions down there will like it or not. I don't think he will.
Can I play them? So when I put him to bed in his room at night, he has a cat room, he tries to send out to the world a couple of meows to say, if anyone's out there and you want to open this door and give me a treat,
I'm here.
Great.
I'm available to be door opened.
Maybe 15 seconds of this, but I've just got to play for you.
Go ahead. I do love a cat meow. I will say, he sounds tortured. That is literally his voice.
Funny. Yeah, that's a meow. He's not even looking up because he's like, yeah, I said what I said.
He's so stinking adorable. Adorable.
He's got to be older than 6.
I don't know. It looks like he's got arthritis.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, that's my twinterest. I'll obviously tell you guys next week if it worked out.
Yes.
If not, you'll be singing for safe. So that wraps us up this week. Any closing comments about stress you want to pass on to the people?
Nope.
Great. You heard it first. You put me on the spot there. Don't be stressed, okay?